Okay, so today we're going to do Take Flight. We figured it was Friday, we need some fun, we need some upside down time. Eric and I are both inversion and arm balance junkies. And so that's what we're gonna do today. So this class, we both teach it differently and we both teach it differently each time we teach it as well. And so there are different things that we do. We sometimes do drills, we sometimes do a flow, and then at the end we do the playtime, and then sometimes we make it workshop style, which a lot of times I do it workshop style, so that's what we're gonna do today. And then we have each other to spot each other. So if you don't have a spotter at home, set your mat up next to a wall. So for this class, you'll want to set your space up next to a wall and use your wall as your spotter. And then we're gonna get going. Actually, we need head pads. Got it. And maybe a wheel. And so we always warm up a particular way when we're doing inversions and arm balances. So you never want to just throw your body into these positions because you can pop a hamstring, you can strain a shoulder. So we want to make sure that we're properly warmed up for that. This is not a flow class, so we're not necessarily going to be flowing. We will do some vinyasas just to warm up the body. And other than that, we've got certain stretches that we need to do to prepare that body. So if you're a yogi at home that is used to our classes and used to doing inversions and arm balances, you're going to get lots of good playtime in. If you're new to this, then we will help you work through just some body mechanics and setting the body up properly so that you are more successful in your poses. So we're just going to bring that center just for a few breaths, excuse me, just to bring our mind here. Good body awareness. Mind-body connection is super important while you're doing this because you need to be very aware of what your body is doing while it is flipped upside down in space. So closing out the clutter so we don't have those distractions. Bringing that center, we're going to exhale everything out. Start that inhale. And exhale, we're using Ujjayi breath. In and out through the mouth. Everything's in and out through the mouth, pulling with the throat. Inhale again, belly expands. And exhale. And one more breath. Inhale. And exhale. And just start to roll the head side to side. So as I said, this is not a flow class. We're just warming the body up, so make it your own. One more time to each side. And bring it up center. Let's twist to the left. Lift your chest up nice and tall and twist. We want to make sure we have the hamstrings, the spine, the shoulders, and the hips open. Exhale, deepen that stretch. And one more breath. Switching directions, lift it up nice and tall and exhale and twist. So before this class, I opened up my psoas. If you're unfamiliar with that, you can jump on our mobility video and learn what that is and do that. Exhale, deepen that stretch. I did a little bit of hip flexor opening. And one more breath. I got on my wheel, had some wheel time to open up my spine. So those are all things you can do before you head into this video, which would be good. And release. Let's hinge in those hips, crawling those fingers out nice and long. You can stack the legs, fold the legs, half lotus, whatever feels good to you. We're hinging in those hips, pulling the chest forward, exhaling into it. One more breath here. Yeah, drawing that up, switching out those legs, same things, folded legs, stacked legs, half lotus, whatever feels good to you here. Sinking that chest forward, letting that breath go. Crawling those fingers out, hinging right in those hips. And one more breath here. And bringing that up, we're going to do some good wrist stretch. So wrists and fingers need to be stretched out. So we're going to turn the hands back toward the knees, fingers always wide. And we're going to sink back into it. You can pulse that back and forth. We're stretching out these forearms. We're stretching out the fingers and the wrists. So if you have really tight wrists, your fingers are going to be close to your knees. Erica is way more flexible than I am, so her hands are farther away from her knees. So the more flexible your wrists are, you're going to walk them away from your knees. My palms come way up when I do that. As you can notice, hers stay way down. So one of the great things about us being in this video together and some of the other videos that you're going to see is the difference of anatomy between our two bodies. Erica is flexible. I am not flexible. We both have different strengths and weaknesses. I'm pretty strong in my arm balances and she's really strong in her inversions. And so you'll see those differences in the two of us. You'll see the mobility and flexibility in her body versus mine. And you'll see that it's where our bodies are at. So you don't ever compare yourself to anyone else. Your body is uniquely yours, and we have to deal with the anatomy that we were given. And bringing those forearms toward one another, fingers out toward the outside edge of your mat. Your forearms don't have to touch. Nice wide fingers. You want to keep the weight toward the front of the hands, toward the thumb and the first two fingers, and not in the pinky side of the hand. That's the weak side of our hand. So just rocking those shoulders back and forth if you want, leaning the shoulders up over those fingertips. It can be a little intense if you're not used to this wrist stretching, but the more you do it, the easier it is. My wrists are always super tight, my wrists and my ankles, so it never feels great, but it feels better than when I first started doing these stretches. And it's super important for them because you will get more lean into your arm balances. You will feel better balance in your hand balancing for your inversions if those wrists are really stretched out. Fingers to the front of the mat, and let's lean those shoulders up over those fingertips. So anytime we have the hands on the mat, the fingers are wide. I don't know of any pose actually that we ever do that our hands are on the mat, that the fingers are ever together. So I always have nice wide fingers. Still, most of the weight is in the thumb and the first two fingers. And let's counter the stretch by taking the backs of the hands on the mat, fingers toward the knees, nice straight arms, and sink that back. One more breath here. And roll out the wrists. So just by working them around, getting some fluid going through them, it just makes them feel better. We're going to pull that left thumb back toward the wrist.
Or the right.
Or the right, yeah. It doesn't matter. We always balance out both sides, so it does not matter. Just whatever you do on one side, even it out with the other. Don't worry about rights and lefts or if it's wrong or right, because it's not wrong. It's just, you're doing it. Switching sides. One more breath here. And roll that out. So one thing that we like to do is to fire up the forearms, and they'll kind of start going crazy. So we just kind of flick those fingernails. Seems like it's not doing much, but when you're doing it, these forearms are going to fire up, and then your fingers are going to start to do crazy things, and you'll start to feel like you don't have control over what the hands are doing anymore. So we're flicking until we get to that point. So we want those forearms fired up so that they're nice and strong and ready. The muscles are warm, ready to support us in all of our postures today. The more you do this, the longer it takes you to get to that place. Some of you are already feeling that. My fingers are starting to get there. It's almost like you're doing like sign language. They're starting to slow down and they start to do weird things. You'll start to feel the burn in those arms. A few more breaths. And shake that out. Taking those hands behind your back, clasp those hands, roll the shoulders back, pushing that chest forward, tip the head back, soften your spine. Take a breath in with your exhale, lift the arms a little higher. Feel your back soften, booty pulling up toward the back of the head. And release, rounding your spine out toward the back. And bringing those forearms down, stepping the right leg back, stretching out the calf, the ankle, the feet. Switching it out. And dolphin pose. So the thing about dolphin pose is to keep the elbows underneath the shoulders, so we don't want wide elbows here. The hands can drift. So some people feel good with their hands out here in line with their elbows, and some people feel better with their hands in tight. Does not matter, just keep the elbows underneath those shoulders, tuck the toes, booty comes up, pushing your chest toward the thighs, keeping the head lifted up off the floor so you're rooting down through the hands and through the elbows, and you're pushing those forearms into the mat. Take a tiny baby step up, booty comes up, push your chest a little closer to the thighs. Take another tiny step up, booty comes up a little higher, press through those forearms. And bringing that down, reaching those arms long for a child's pose, chest drops through. Rock side to side, open up into each one of those shoulders. Let's bring that to standing. So we're going to do a few vinyasas. We're going to do 5 to warm up. Feet hip width apart. We're going to warm up those hamstrings, stretch those out. Shoulders backing down, finding your mountain pose. Inhaling those arms up. Exhaling forward fold, hinging in those hips, and lower the chest. Relax the thighs, relax the knees. Wiggle out, pedal out, shake it out. Just open up those hamstrings, we're waking them up. Let's go ahead and fold those forearms and let your upper body hang super heavy and rock the upper body side to side, elbow to shin. Keeping those forearms folded, bring it center, take a breath, and with your exhale, push the forearms toward the floor. Take another breath, and exhale, and reach. And one more breath.
should be nice and low. Bend those knees nice and easy. Ripple back up through the spine. Clasping those hands behind your back. Pop that chest forward. Pull the arms away from the back. Hinging in those hips. Forward fold with the arms coming up over the shoulders. Take a breath. And exhale, pull the arms up over a little bit more. And one more breath.
Here's a good difference.
Huh?
I said, here's a good difference.
Yes. She's got way more opened up shoulders than I do, obviously. And release. Good, strong back, inhaling all the way up. Exhaling, namaste. So those hands should be coming down nice and low. And bringing that to mountain pose, feet together. So anatomy differences. Her open shoulders are going to let her access a lot of inversions a lot easier than what mine will. And she'll have straighter lines where my back will want to bow a little bit more because my shoulders are tighter. So you'll see those differences. So mountain pose, inhale, arms up. Exhaling, forward fold. Inhaling, half lift. Exhale, forward fold. Step that back to plank. Work through your vinyasa. Chaturanga, up dog, down dog. At your own pace. Warming up the body. Stretching it out. Getting muscles fired up. Centering the left foot, sweep the right leg up nice and high. Lengthen those legs, lengthen the arms. We want to try to get the foot up high onto our mat. So bend the knee, roll forward on the toes, pull way up into the chest. Bring both feet to the front. Forward fold, good strong back inhale all the way up. Exhaling, forward fold. We're gonna work a press, hands to the floor. If your hands are not quite touching the floor, grab some blocks, books, blankets. Exhale, squeeze up under the toes, push the hands through the mat. And bringing the heels back down. So it's like you have a string on that tailbone, pulling that booty up toward the ceiling. Wide fingers, exhale, squeeze up under the toes, booty comes up over the head, shoulders up over the rear end, or rear end up over the shoulders. Bringing that back down, taking a breath one more time. Exhale, squeeze up. Bring it back down, take it back to plank, work through that vinyasa. Always feel free to pedal out and down dog. Keep the chest pushing toward the thighs. Let's center the right foot, sweep the left toes up, and lengthen both legs. Lengthen the arms. Rolling forward on the toes, bringing the knee up. And plant the foot. Step it to the front. Good strong back, inhaling all the way up. Exhaling, forward fold. Working the press, hands down. Heels up, squeeze, 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 squeeze. And down. Taking a breath, exhale, squeeze up. And down. One more time, exhale, squeeze up. And down. Nice, those toes are coming up. Stepping it back to plank. Work through that vinyasa. Centering left toe, sweep right toes up. Let's bend the knee, open up the hip. Right fingers to fingertips, pull those hips forward, pull the chest forward, let your head dingle. And bringing the knee up to the front. Plant that foot, step it to the front. Inhale all the way up. Exhaling, forward fold. Hamstrings are waking up, working that press. Hands down. Exhale, squeeze up, 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 up. And down. Exhale, squeeze up, 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 up. And down. One more time, squeeze up. And down. Take it back to plank. Work through that vinyasa. Centering the right foot, sweeping the left toes up, bending that left knee, left fingers, fingertips, relax the head, pull your heart forward, pull the hips forward, let that foot dangle. And bring that high up into the chest, plant the foot, and step it to the front. Always think soft landings, good strong back inhale, all the way up. We have one more vinyasa, exhaling forward fold. Work that press. Wide fingers, squeeze up. Get the shoulders up over the head and down, or booty up over the shoulders. Exhale, squeeze up and down. And one more time, squeeze up and down. Step it back. Last vinyasa. Elbows back. Work through it. We're going to jump it to the front of the mat. So spring load and bring it to the front. Forward fold. Good strong back, inhale all the way up. Exhale, namaste. All right, bring that down. We're gonna open up, we're gonna do just a little bit deeper twisting and opening up because some of the things that we're gonna fly into need a little bit deeper hip openers. So we're gonna step that left foot over the right leg and you're gonna be up on that right hip and we're gonna twist. So either hug the knee in, chest up nice and tall, or elbow on the back side of the leg and twist. Exhale, twist a little deeper. And one more breath. And exhale. And bringing that center, we're going to cradle the baby. So the idea, is to get the foot up into the crease if you can. If it doesn't go that far, then just grab hold of the hands or up on that arm somewhere. But we don't want to round out the spine here. We want to keep the spine up nice and tall. So once you have that hooked, bring it up and lift your chest up nice and tall, squeezing that into your belly as much as you can. You can rock it back and forth, opening up the hips a little bit deeper. You don't have to. But you want your back nice and straight. If your spine is rounding here, then you need to let go of the leg a little bit. Pull it in, squeeze it in as tight as you can. And release, lengthening the left leg, stepping the right leg over, lift it up nice and tall, and twist it out. So you can hug it in, because we don't want to compromise the spine for this stretch, so you don't want to be rounding out into it. You want it up and tall, looking over the shoulder and twisting that out. Taking a breath, and exhale, twist a little deeper. And one more breath. And exhale. And bringing that center, and let's cradle that baby. So one side might be a little bit tighter than the other side, just lifting the chest up nice and tall. This side doesn't squeeze in as tight for me, but I still have a nice straight spine.
rock it back and forth if you want to. You don't have to. You can just hold it in place. And release. So we're going to get to playing now. So we're going to work through our crow series. And if you're not into crow first, you can just keep working that same pose. If you're ready to move on and advance to some of the other postures, then move on along with us. If not, still work that posture. And then when we get into the inversions, we'll do the same thing, working our basics first, and then if you know you can advance further, you'll advance on along with us. So crow pose, we're going to show some variations on getting into it because everybody's body gets into it a little bit different. So one of the things that we want to think about in crow pose is how the mechanics of it. So when you're in crow, the triceps are your table legs. If your table is tipped up high like this, it's not a table. It needs to be down like this. So think about that. So when we're going into crow, most people are fearful of bringing their face forward, which is what's necessary to come forward. Shoulders have to tip forward in order for you to be able to get the feet up. If your booty and butt is here, those toes are going to be on the floor. But as you bring the shoulders down, the toes want to come up. So it's just body mechanics. So once you start to feel that in your body, that's why mind-body connection is super important, so that you are feeling all those things out in your body and you can feel my toes are stuck. Why are my toes stuck? It's probably because you're not tipping your shoulders down toward the floor. So the first thing we're going to do is do it with the blocks for the shoulders. And it's mainly, it can support your shoulders, but it's mainly just a focal point for your shoulders to head toward. So Erica's going to get into that. So what we're going to do first of all is squat down into it and connect here, and don't disconnect, because when we disconnect, the hands go down and they're too close and your feet are stuck to the floor. So she's going to have to find her distance of her blocks, what's going to be good and comfortable for her. And so her shoulders are not going to come down to the blocks, but it's something for her shoulders to head toward. That way she knows they need to for those feet to pick up. So you can bring your head to a block if you want your forehead to the block. And so squat down, tipping in. And then that block supports your head, and then you know you're not going to fall forward. If you're fearful of smashing your face, because it does happen from time to time, you can place a blanket there. So there are some options there. We can also place the blocks underneath our feet, because some people have the upper body part, they just need the legs to be in place. So you don't want your feet toward the front of your blocks, you want your feet toward the back of your blocks. Still squatting down, connecting those triceps, knees up high, leaning forward, so the feet are now where they need to be, tipping the shoulders down, and then they just automatically come up off of those blocks. So for some of you, getting the hands to the floor and keeping those legs connected might be your issue, and that's just hip opening. So you're just gonna work this part, trying to get here. Sometimes we can't even get there yet. So you're just going to work the squat and then keep trying to lower down into it. Once those triceps connect, then you're going to work on the roll front and back, getting comfortable with this. Eyes always stay looking out. We never want to look behind, because if you drop the head wants to drop. So we want to keep this and this tuck. So a lot of times when we go into it, we'll let our chest sink through, which makes our body heavy, and we want to make our body lightweight. So as you roll forward, chest comes up, lean, 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 and maybe pick up one toe at a time, maybe the other one, and hang out here. Another thing that we like to have is cambered hands when we're doing arm balances and inversions. For me, that's what I like, because I feel strong. It's also my brakes. So as my fingers are wide, and I pull back on the block. My fingers are doing this, so they're not flat like this. They're pulling back on the block, on the floor. So there's a little bit of a lift in my fingers, and that gives you your break. So as you start to lean forward and you feel like you're gonna fall forward, if you grip and pull back with the fingers, it kind of puts the stops on that. So let's work toward that, and then if you want, you can stop the video and you can just play around with that posture. We're gonna keep moving ahead. So if you're able to hold crow for 3 to 5 breaths, you're gonna work toward crane. This is where flexibility, mobility is a little bit different. She's got way more flexible wrists, so her arms can get straighter than mine, and you'll see the difference in the two. So the difference between crow and crane is arms. So crow is bent arms, crane is straight arms. So she's like really straight and mine are still really bent. And it's really hard on the
That's the
wrist.
longest I've ever held it.
That was really good, really good. So in my body and my brain, my arms felt super straight, but I know there's a major bend in them because I know I don't have that mobility in my wrist.
Mine's the opposite. It didn't feel straight at all.
Yours
felt
were
like I could have
super
worked straighter.
Super straight. So just a difference in anatomy. The more that you can get those straight, the more that those shoulders can shoot over those hands and that arm can line up.
And the tighter you have to suck in your core.
Yes. Because you no longer have the table holding your legs. You are all using all core to hold those legs in. So you go from your table here, holding those legs, balancing on the legs, to straight arms to where there's nothing holding the legs, just all core work. So that's the difference in crane and crow. Now, if you're able to hold crow for 3 to 5 breaths, you don't necessarily have to be able to hold crane. Crane is wrist flexibility. We're gonna work on shifting a knee over from one arm to the other. And you'll notice that one side is stronger than the other. The one most important thing in this one is not to dip into a shoulder. Because you're transferring weight from one side to the other, the knee from one side to the other, the tendency is, because all that body weight is on that side, is to dip into that shoulder. You need to maintain strength through both shoulders, tucking that heart into the spine, having that roundedness here, and pushing up, and that's going to give you the lift of the knee so you can plant it over.
And you'll notice one teacher can do it and the other one cannot.
This is where we have, you can see our strengths and our weaknesses. It's just different. There's a lot of things that she can do that my body cannot even access yet. And then there are some things that are just like, they're not a problem for me and is a little bit more of a struggle for her. So
This is one of them.
so we're gonna slide that left knee over to the right. So come into your crow and make sure you're looking out. Grip that mat, squeeze, lift a knee, up and over. And bringing that back down. I don't know if you can see that from that angle. Can you see it from the front, I wonder?
We could do close-up videos when we're done.
Okay, that would be good.
That way they can see it.
So maybe not very good view back here, but you can see what the knee is doing. Yay. So we're going to try the other side, because sometimes we have one side stronger than the other, but we balance them out. We tend to want to work our good side. This other side is not my good side. So sometimes I can get it up and over and I can't hold, and then some days I feel strong and I can get it there. Some days it's not lifting at all. So let's come into that crow. Squeeze and lift.
I couldn't even get my arm off.
And bringing that down.
Or leg, not my arm.
All right, so for the next thing that we're going to do, you don't necessarily have to pick up and pull over to be able to fly your crow. Different people get into it different ways. I think she and I both get into it a different way.
Yeah, I can't do it the way you do it.
So I think you extend your leg out, and I usually float my leg up.
So
Extend my leg out and fall. I don't actually.
So let's go into crow. And then she's gonna extend her leg out. That's not how I can get into it. This is how I get into it. We have a yogi who that's his power pose, and I'm like,
His
how do you
signature
get into-"
pose.
Yes, I have a hard time getting into it that way. So how I like to come into that pose is a down dog.
And he doesn't make sound effects like I do.
No. Lifting the knee, connecting the knee to the triceps. So you have to roll forward on the toes, shoulders up over the hands, wide fingers, get the knee on the tricep. I take a hop up and elbows in, shoulders tip down, booty comes up over the head, fly the leg up.
I feel like Vanna White right now.
Do what?
I said I was being like Vanna White.
So that's my strong side. My other side is not so pretty.
I can't even get the other side off my arm.
So try to extend your leg. So she's going to do how she normally does it, and she likes to come into crow, extend the leg out. So I'm going to try the other side, which normally does not. Have you tried it from down dog recently?
Yes. I'll try it right now while you're doing it.
Alright, so we center the right foot, sweeping the left one up, or whichever one you want. So I like to hop forward just a little bit, tip the shoulders down, and fly that leg. There you go. Now tip shoulders down. So when she starts doing inversions, that's where she'll shine. And that's where I will struggle. So arm balances are my strength. I can hold those. I
I
do
can
those.
hop back into plank from crow. That's
That's a
something.
good one. Yes, let's just show that. So could be a part of your flow. A hop back into plank from crow. That could be like if you are doing that and you're working through your vinyasa, this could be part of your flow. Adding those little things in just intensifies your pose. It makes it your own. Intensifies
We actually
your
do
pose.
that in my take flight class. We do crow in our vinyasa.
Good. Okay, so now we're going to fly our pigeon.
I can see that.
So there you go. So, how we like to normally get into it is like we call it half chair. You'll find the different yogis call different postures, different things. So we cross that right foot over, sink back into that. Now, if you have trouble getting those hands already, you can see a difference in her hip mobility and mine. Her hands come to the floor easily with her foot flat. Mine will have to roll forward to get there. Leaning forward, shoulders tipping down, and you can just kick the heel in and you're flying, or lengthen. So the important thing about this is to really grip the mat. Really pull the heart in and push through the hands, getting this action going in the body. Because what will happen, and you'll see it on my other side because I'm weaker on that side, will collapse into our leg, which is fine. But we want to be able to lift so that leg can fly. It will feel more comfortable in your body when you can fly like that than to rest on the leg. It'll be almost like a real pigeon pose on the other side for me because I can't get the lift. This side I can lift and have it caved out in here. The other side, my body stays on my leg. So let's get into that side. Connecting those triceps. See how much more mobile she is and how I have to really lean forward to get into that. Keeping that foot hooked around. Ooh, hey.
That actually looks really good. Bad side of my butt.
Oh, I had that caved out. I wasn't laying on my leg. All right, it didn't extend.
Your hips
though.
are really high too.
All right, so that's flying pigeon. We're gonna do side crow now.
because we jumped into pigeon and we didn't work through all of our crows. So we're gonna do side crows. So any one of these that you wanna linger around and play in for a while, being here is helpful because we can help you access some things. But the more time you play with something, don't give up. Like if you try it once or twice and you're like, I can't get it, it takes practice. It takes working into it. We find that the longer you can play around with it, like a lot of times we have like 10 minutes at the end of class for playtime for this stuff, and it's not long enough. People are just starting to access it when it's time to go. If you have like a full 30 minutes of being able to really play with that pose, you'll start to find yourself accessing it more and more because you're really being in tune to your body and what it's doing, and you can feel, hey, I'm stuck here, I need more flexibility here, I need to open up my shoulders more here, and my hips need to be more open up, those kind of things, and then it'll help you to access the pose.
And we'll make some shorter tutorial videos on these with a closer up shot so you can actually see.
Yes. Okay, so side crow. The important thing about this is the twist and the connection. Sometimes we're not open enough in our spine or in our hips to be able to get that twist, and that is really important to be able to get into it. So you may not be able to access that right now. So don't beat yourself up. Just work opening up the body. So we always like to come to a side position here. So this is going to land on your table. Remember, your triceps are your table. So I like to make sure that belly's up and over, twisting, and I like to connect the tricep to the knee, plant the hand, other hand, shoulder width apart. Now my booty is not connected to this back tricep yet. So I like to lift, plant my booty on that. The leg that's connected to the arms, that's the foot that comes up first and the shoulders tip down. If you want, you can let the head go all the way down for fallen angel to pick up the feet. And then if you want, you can fly the legs. And then you can try to pick up from there. Flying side crow. So, working to get that hip up. So, foot placement is always an issue in class. So, if your left leg is in front, the left foot is going to be behind the right one. And I don't mean directly behind, I just mean it's going to be back. The right foot is going to be in the front because what needs to happen is this back foot needs to kick up underneath this front leg. So if this foot is blocking this foot, you won't get that kick up. If you try to pick up the flying leg first, then it's going to make this ball of your foot stick to the floor. So that's the one thing. So always think, whatever's connected to these arms, that leg, that foot comes up first. And then that way you can get into it. If you're struggling getting this hip to this tricep, you can try just a single arm. So same thing with the hands. I kind of walk the feet forward a little bit, and then I lean forward, kick that back foot up, and then rest here. And then you try both sides. So same thing, get the belly up out of the way, connect that tricep, hand down, other one, lift, lower, kick the bottom foot up, lower, or go into fallen triangle or fallen angel, or you can fly those legs.
Now hop back into plate. Yeah!
I have a little bit of a sagging belly, but alright, so, or try the one arm. So you have to walk those, making sure the hands are in alignment. This hand position is not going to work. Hands always need to be right next toward one another, shoulder width apart. All the weight on that tricep and fly. And that side crow. Alright. Good on the inversions, our arm balances. That's just a few of our arm balances. There are many more that we do. But we're going to get into some inversions because we're both inversion junkies and we love to be upside down on our head. So grab yourself, make sure you're up against the wall because we're going to show you some helpful tips
to getting into those things. I'm gonna let her mostly do them and just kind of talk through. That way there's only one of us at the wall. I'll show you a couple things just so you can see the difference in our bodies and how her body is a lot straighter in her inversions than mine. So to show you safely, if you have a wheel or a block or something, we want to first, before you get upside down or get those legs up in the air, is to find good alignment in your neck and your spine. So,
Can you see it right here?
yeah, you can actually even come a little bit this way. Oh, nope, back. Here, maybe I should just turn it.
Sorry, guys.
You know, we're so technical here.
We're still, you know,
We're
grow
learning.
with us. Grow with us.
All right, so she's got her head pad here, and you want the crown of your head, the very, very top of your head, to be on that. Not the forehead, but the very, very top of the head. So we're gonna do tripod. So look at where her hands are at. They're not up here by her head. They're back here. So we're making a triangle with the head and the hands. And she's gonna walk her booty up, 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 and place her knees on her triceps. When you can do this and you can hold this steady and not feel like you're too wobbly, then you can bring the legs up. But if you cannot hold that steady, that's what you're gonna work on. You're not gonna get those legs up above your head until that is stable. So you have the wall. She's finding alignment with the wall. She's now straight and she's squeezing that core really tight. So we would like to work our float. So she's gonna float those feet down. Nice soft landings. So now she doesn't need the wheel and the head pad because she can do that just fine. And she doesn't even need the wall for this one. But for you at home, if you're new to this, the wall is your safety net. We do like to try to get you away from the wall as soon as we can, but we would rather you be safe than sorry. There's a lot of people that tell you not to practice with a wall because the wall can be a crutch, and that is absolutely 100% true. However, I'm more about safety first, and so we want to make sure you're safe first. So use that wall. That's my suggestion because injuries take a long time to heal from, and I'm not all about that. So she's going to show you without the wheel. She can do it without a head pad. My baby tender head needs a head
Not
pad.
tripod. Just the.
Okay. So, she doesn't need the wheel. Hand placement. Hands are still shoulder width apart. Wide fingers. Grip your mat. And she's going to float up. So everything is a purpose in here. So we float up and we float down because it works core muscles. And those core muscles benefit you in other postures as well. And it benefits you in all of your life. So it's great to be upside down, and that's wonderful. It feels good and it's fun. There's benefits of being upside down. However, we don't want you slinging your bodies up and down. We want to try to control that so that you are benefiting more from that posture and gaining more core strength. That's going to help you in the future with some of your floating handstand stuff. Like we were working the press and we were bringing the booty up over the head. That's working those float muscles. So now she's going to do forearm headstand, which is where she shines. She shines in this and her forearm stand. These are her strong poses. These are my weaker poses. So she'll show you how to get up in that, and she can even float that up. I cannot. I'm floating that down. So I'm just going to show you the difference. Because mine is not so pretty. So my float is not so great. I cannot float up legs straight out in front like she can. Because I do not have that mobility through my shoulders. I can just now, recently, am able to float up wide legs though.
But so pretty and smooth.
But
You're
that
really
was just
straight.
recent. So for me to come down, she's able to bring her legs out in front of her. This super hard for my shoulders. That's it for me. So to try to float that up for me is I cannot get those toes up off the floor here. So that is a difference in mobility in our bodies. Her shoulders are way more opened up. So she's able to access that, and I can't, but that's okay. So when you're going into it, you can also, I mean, before you're working float, float is an advancement of that, is bringing that up. Get the booty up super high, bring a leg up until these toes just want to pick up. You can find the wall with your foot, bend that knee, bring the hips in alignment with your spine, then bring a leg up, and then bring the other leg up to it. Oh, my foot started cramping.
Pull your pelvis in. You're so straight.
That good?
Oh yeah.
Good. So we've been working on getting the arch out of my spine because my shoulders
That's
are
probably
so
the
tight.
straightest it's ever been.
Yay! All right, now her power pose is her forearm stand, which is head up. So
You're gonna do it with the wall, without the wall.
do it with the wall first to show them, and then you can show them without the wall. This I don't feel secure myself doing too much without a wall. I can play with it. She falls out beautifully into a nice back bend in hers, and I don't. See how nice and smooth that is? So you have to really root down through those forearms. The head wants to drop. And so you have to really push through the hands, push through the forearms, push through those elbows, dolphin pose here, and then coming up into it. So, mine's not so pretty, but I'm gonna show you how to use the wall to do that pose, because that's what I usually use. So forearms down, walking the booty up as high as you can. And bringing the feet to the wall, bend those knees, bring alignment through your body, lift a leg, and then bring the other one to it. And see, you can see there's much more of an arch in my body than there is in hers, but it feels super straight. It's just a difference in alignment, but in my brain, my body felt like this, super straight. But I know because of the tightness of my shoulders that it's not. So I already know that. But
Straighter than your handstand.
It feels, yeah, my body is starting to come out of it because my shoulders are opening up more. So I do feel like it's pulling out of it, but I still have the arch where hers is super straight. And that's where opening up those shoulders beforehand helps. Mine will only open up so far, so I can only get so far with it. So now she's just gonna come forward and show toward the camera how you get into that forearm, and I'm just gonna be right here. She doesn't need me at all, but just for safety's sake. And look at that, nice pretty bow. Nice scorpion. And she falls out into a back bend so beautifully. My elbows, my shoulders would have snapped right out of the socket trying to do that. Okay, so handstand. To practice this one of the best ways to practice it is facing the wall. A lot of times we like to start kicking up toward the wall, but first you want to make sure you have good strength through your arms to hold your body first. So she's going to turn and walk toward the wall. So we want to get as close to the wall as we can. Remember, you have to come back out of it. So make sure you have enough space for those legs to come down, and we'll show you how to safely come out of that. So you're going to walk up as far as you can. If you can get that belly and that chest all the way up, that's ideal. Pushing through the hands, trying to keep the hands shoulder width apart. If the hands are too wide, you're going to struggle holding this here. Now to come out of it, she's going to turn her body to the side and let the legs slide down the wall. Or you can crawl back out if you have the strength in your arms to walk it back out too. So, holding that is a good drill to build up that strength in those arms. It also helps with alignment. For me, coming off the wall that way though is super hard. I can't hold it, I can't do it.
I'm too scared.
Yeah, I'm too scared too. So, but if you want to, sometimes you just need to feel what it's like to hold that handstand. And so turning around and kicking up is good. to do that. So she'll kick up into her handstand. The higher you can get, did you see how high her spring leg was? Is way up into her chest. If you're starting with too big of a bend, nice. See, her line is really pretty. When you see my handstand, I can hold a handstand, but my back is really arched. A lot of times when we're coming into handstands, I will see people doing this. They're starting here, and they're starting to kick up back here. That is a lot of work. The higher you can get the booty up over the head and bringing that knee up into the chest, the less work you're gonna do.
Hold it for so long.
So I can hold, I can find balance, I just don't have a straight line.
And I'm opposite. I'm straight and I can't hold it.
So it's just a difference in our anatomies. That's why we encourage you to make the practice your own, because all of our bodies are all different and we all need to grow in different parts of our body, and we all have different strengths and different weaknesses, and we need to embrace those and strengths that we have and work on those weaknesses and not do the comparison game. I mean, there's a lot of things in her body that if I compared myself to her all the time, I would feel, like I'm never gonna get there. And my body might not ever get there. She's able to do a back bend and grab her feet, you know? And I don't know that my back is ever gonna get there. I would love to, so I'm just gonna work as if it will. And I'm gonna work till I get my shoulders open enough to get that straight line. But for some of you, setting an intention is super important, because maybe for you, a straight handstand is not it, you know? Being able to just balance might just be it for you. That's your intention, and that's good enough. You don't ever have to do a straight handstand if you don't want to. You don't have to ever do a flying crow if you don't want to. Just setting your intention and working toward that. The change in the body comes in the working of the posture. Once you're in it, there's not much work that's being done there. It's the getting up into it, all the progress. She's gonna do some drills for some of these things, drill videos. That work is the work that changes the body. It allows you to access things. But once you're like hanging in those balance postures, that's the easy part. It's the getting into it, and all the work that the body does to get there is what changes the body. So, anything else? Any other inversion?
I think it's all of them. Both headstands, forearm, handstand. It's all of them.
All right. Let's just do one more handstand.
We can do it together.
We'll do it together. So that knee's nice and high, booty's up over the head. And there you go. There's take flight. Ta-da!